Stops, Volume 3, Issue 4, Requiem by Kevin Smith, second draft. Give it up for our man. You got this. All right, page 1, panel 1, TV or phone screen, KREL News 37. We come to anchorman Grant Hicks giving a news report already in progress. News voiceover says it's the KREL News, Central Jersey's #1 news hour with Grant Hicks. And Grant Hicks says, "Good evening, I'm Grant Hicks, here now the news. Last year in Vatican City, the Catholic Church introduced the official mascot of their 2025 Jubilee, an adorable anime-adjacent Muppet named Luce." Grant Hicks now has an over-the-shoulder featuring the Buddy Christ statue. He says, "But our top story tonight is about the former officially sanctioned mascot of the Catholic Church, the Buddy Christ." Panel 4, same image, but now there's an over-the-shoulder featuring the exterior of St. Michael's Church from the end of Dogma. Grant Hicks says, "The historic St. Michael's Church in the East Liberty section of Red Bank was the victim of a religious robbery last night. Local authorities revealed that the parish's Buddy Christ statue was stolen from St. Michael's sometime in the evening." Panel 5, same image, but now there's an over-the-shoulder featuring the Buddy Christ, as Grant Hicks says, "Sculpted by Archbishop Dave Deneen, this particular Buddy Christ statue is a priceless prototype, having made its American debut at St. Michael's back in 1999, where it's been ensconced ever since. Police have no leads, so they're asking the public for help in finding both the stolen savior and the belligerent brigand who burgled Buddy." Pages 2 and 3 is a splash page. It says, "Exterior Cemetery Night. Jay and Silent Bob each carry an end of the Buddy Christ statue through a graveyard at night." As Jay says,
"Jesus Christ, this motherfucker's heavy."
Page 4, panel 1, in a wide shot, Jay and Silent Bob put the Buddy Christ statue on the ground, standing up over a specific headstone. Jay says,
"Right here."
Panel 2, Jay and Silent Bob lean on either side of the Buddy Christ statue, catching their breath. Silent Bob is checking his pulse as Jay says,
"He ain't heavy, he's my brother." Huge.
Panel 3, in a high overhead, Jay starts pouring a white powder around the Buddy Christ statue and one specific headstone, creating a binding circle with he and Silent Bob standing outside of it. Jay says,
"Okay, first we form a binding circle to protect our asses from some supernatural shit that's not of this earth."
Panel 4, at the base of the Buddy Christ, Jay pours out the contents of a kind of soup container you get at the hot food section of the grocery store. Silent Bob smiles, satisfied, as Jay says,
"Next, we were supposed to spill the blood of a fatted calf, but since Mr. Beacon Vagina told me a hard no, out loud even, we gotta substitute the blood for stupid-ass plant-based bone broth."
Page 5, splash page. Silent Bob holds aloft a book. It looks like the Necronomicon, but it has Silent Bob's face in it. Jay stands behind Silent Bob, looking up at the book. Jay says,
"Now we read the incantation from Silent Bob's Book of the Dead, the Necrobobicon."
Page 6, panel 1, biggest panel on the page. Silent Bob holds the book open for Jay to read from, as if they're at a mass. Jay has his arms raised and the pair stand over the headstone, the name of which we don't see yet. Magic swirls about the Buddy Christ statue within the binding circle as Jay chants,
"Hear me now, O heavenly host, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. To this circle with human breath, I summon your servant, the angel of death."
Lightning from the heavens strikes the binding circle, throwing Jay and Bob backwards and casting a bright light. Jay says, "Ah!" Pretty fucking good, man. Took me right there. Panel 4, close on Jay and Bob shielding their eyes from the bright light while trying to see something off panel. Jay says,
Did we catch it? Is that the angel of death?"
and then from off panel we hear a voice say, "No!" A voice that was taking a shit, apparently. Page 7, splash page, over Jay and Bob and onto the angel Metatron, who leans with his back against the Buddy Christ statue. His wings spread, he looks mildly irritated. Metatron says,
"But I intend to murder the hell out of both of you."
Holy shit, Silent Bob! It's Megatron!
Page 8, panel 1, Metatron now stands at the edge of the binding circle, dressing down the smiling Jay and Bob, hands on his hips, as Metatron says,
"Metatron, not Metatron, and I'm not to be toyed with."
I see what you did there. And speaking of C,
Panel 2 over Metatron onto Jay and Silent Bob as Jay says,
long time no see, Big Bird.
4 century is not long enough.
Well, if you're gonna be that way about it, to be honest, we weren't even looking for you.
Panel 3, Metatron drops his wings to a relaxed position. Metatron says,
I know you are Loki, the angel of death. But as there has no angel of death since Loki was banished, I'm afraid your blatant blasphemy has fallen on deaf ears.
that's very Sean Connery. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. Panel 4, Jay and Silent Bob are confused. Metatron holds an earphone to his ears. Jay asks,
Speak fucking English, yo.
Jesus wept. In the parlance of your time, new phone, who dis?
Panel 5, Metatron walks around the binding circle at the edge of which stands an embarrassed Jay and Silent Bob. Metatron says,
Additionally, while your childhood naivety on the subject is absolutely adorable, I'm afraid a correction is in order. Human beings can only bind demons in summoning circles, not angels. When you started your ceremony, the denizens of heaven en masse watched and laughed. There was also an unfortunate bit of decidedly unchristian name-calling. So for the sake of what little dignity you've ever fostered, I elected to intercede.
that's a mouthful. Give it up for him, ladies. Page 9, Panel 1, an irritated Jay looks at a very sheepish Silent Bob as he says,
Are you trying to tell me that the Necrobobicon, Silent Bob's Book of the Dead, is full of shit?
Panel 2, Metatron bends down to put his finger at the edge of the binding circle as he says,
No more than any other time tome transcribed by human hands, like the Bible or Dianetics.
well done, man. Panel 3, close on Metatron as he sniffs the dust on his finger. Panel 4, same shot, but he looks up with a single raised eyebrow and asks,
Is this the binding summoning circle made of marijuana?
That's concentrated cannabis keef, Chief.
Page 10, Panel 1 on Metatron as he says,
Seraphim are the highest choir of angels, not angels to get high. And while it has been quite some time since last we met, I do recall you both being ignorant in all things otherworldly, if not all things in general.
over Metatron onto Jay and Bob as he says,
Which begs the question, why on earth are you trying to contact heaven?
We got a request.
Panel 3, Metatron looks at the Bunny Christ statue as Jay and Bob look on. Metatron says,
Where I'm from, we call those prayers. But this isn't prayer, prophets. This is theological theft. So why are you two in cemetery performing this silly ceremony with a stolen statue?
Panel 4, Jay and Bob present the headstone they built their ceremony around, the inscription of which we finally see. Dante Hicks, husband, friend, clerk. I'm not even supposed to be here today. Jay says,
Ever since our friend died, there's this big hole of hurt around Quick Stop. This shit's just not the same anymore because everyone's still sad. So we figured we'd try to, bring him back.
Page 11, Panel 1, Metatron looks at Jay and Silent Bob as if they're kids who just said the cutest thing ever. Metatron says,
By conquering death itself.
Shit, yeah. I was ready to whip out my pocket knife if I had to. Yo, don't tell anybody I got a pocket knife, yo.
You're not safe with me.
Panel 2, Metatron pulls a stray feather from one of his wings as he talks to a hopeful Jay and Silent Bob. Metatron says,
As for the other matter, I'm afraid an amateur resurrection is out of the question. Human beings can't be entrusted with dominion over the dead because, as a species, you're far too sentimental.
You're sentimental.
Panel 3, close on Metatron as he says,
Sentimental. It means you have a hard time letting go. The human understanding of object permanence often extends incorrectly into emotional, and yet you spend your lives taking one another for granted, appreciating everything only after they are gone for good. Not the very kosher way to run a synagogue, as she's fond of saying.
Panel 4, over Metatron onto Jay, his arms folded, irritated. Silent Bob points at Jay as if he's right. Jay says,
Look, are you gonna help us bring our boy back from the dead? Or do we gotta summon someone else? Ooh, like one of them angels with balls.
Page 12, panel 1 on Metatron as he unbuttons his pants and he says,
Good luck with that.
Panel 2, we're behind or over Metatron as he drops his pants onto a horrified Jay and Silent Bob. Metatron says,
As you can clearly see,
Panel 3, Metatron stands there with his pants around his knees, showing off a smooth, sexless crotch. Metatron says,
angels are as anatomically impaired as a Ken doll.
Panel 4, same as shock. Panel 2, but Jay and Bob's expressions are that of relief as Jay says,
I thought you were gonna be like, you want your friend back? Then start sucking. But you ain't got nothing to suck.
Panel 5, Metatron refastens his pants and says,
You should see me scissor, sister.
Okay, Sean Connery. Page 13, panel 1, biggest panel on the page. High overhead of Metatron as he leans atop Dante's grave, addressing Jay and Silent Bob. Metatron says,
As for your cadaverous colleagues whose grave you seek to rob, I am the Metatron, herald of the Almighty, and voice of the one true God. As the Lorax spoke for the trees, and Metatron speaks for the Lord, and the Lord would like me to politely remind you two calamities of catechism of an inconvenient truth. When it comes to those who triumphed over the grave, it is a very exclusive club.
Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. Panel 2, Jay and Silent Bob point at Dante's headstone. Hopeful, Jay says,
Can't that club include Dante?
Panel 3, Metatron says,
I'm sorry, but no. Your friend has had his time.
Page 14, panel 1, Metatron stands again. Jay throws up the horns to Silent Bob after Metatron says,
Let this absence in your life act as a regular reminder to appreciate all those who are still present. That is the gift of death.
Ooh, the gift of death would be an awesome name for a King Diamond song.
Panel 2, Metatron by himself, his wings spread, he says,
To quote from the great work, the universe has to move forward, pain and loss. They define us as much as happiness and love. Whether it's a world or a relationship, everything has had its time and everything ends.
Wow, that shit actually made me feel better. Is it from the Bible?
Doctor Who, Season 2, Episode 4, entitled School Reunion, written by Tony Whitehouse and explained and acted by Elizabeth Sladen.
Give it up, Hooligans!
Look around you, boys. Your friend is here right now.
Page 15, panel 1, Jay and Silent Bob strike back-to-back defensive poses, preparing to karate chop a ghost. Jay says,
Holy shit! We gotta fight a poltergeist, Silent Bob? You're trying to ghost us, Casper? Bustin' makes me feel good.
Panel 2 over the overly defensive Jay and Bob and on to Metatron, who smiles warmly and impatiently as he says,
Your dead friend isn't here physically. I was speaking more metaphysically.
Panel 3, biggest panel on the page, Metatron, arms and wings spread wide, tells us,
The atoms that build your body have existed since the very beginning of the universe, formed from the stardust billions of years before you were born. And as it can be neither created nor destroyed, all the energy introduced by the Big Bang at any infancy of existence is a fixed quantity that remains the same to this day. Do you know what that means?
Page 16, panel 1, Metatron cups his mouth, whispering to a mystified Jay and Silent Bob. He says,
It means your friend never left. He's still here all around you.
Like the fucking Force?
Panel 2, Metatron rolls his eyes. Behind him, Jay and Silent Bob, a high five in the background. Metatron says,
You people, if there isn't a movie about it, it's not worth knowing.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
Panel 3, Metatron points to the Bunny Christ statue as he says,
Return your Buddy Christ to his perch in the church, gentlemen. Once you do, I can at least erase that transgressive entry from your ledger.
Sin Ledger would be an awesome name for a King Diamond song.
Panel 5, Jay turns to Metatron, who's looking up, preparing to leave.
One King Diamond reference I can abide by, but two To me, there's most certainly a third in route, so it's time I go.
We got questions. How's Rufus and Stripper Dippity? Yo, how's the lady in the tutu?
Page 17, panel 1, Metatron gives us a little dogma sequel info when he says,
Rufus has found reward. In the age of streaming, serendipity has been busier than ever. And God, she remains a mystery, as inscrutable as an average Apple agreement.
An arms crossed Metatron addresses a shy Jay and Silent Bob, their hats in their hands, as Jay says.
Maskatron?
Metatron.
We got one more thing to say before you go.
Well then.
Panel 3, Jay and Silent Bob, being very serious, Jay says.
Me and Silent Bob just want to say that it was a real honor and privilege to get to work with you that one time. I mean, we don't meet a lot of people who are excellent at what they do, let alone a genius. So you were and still are one of our favorite people we've ever met. And on top of that, we miss you, man.
Give it up for Jay, man. Panel 2 on Metatron, as Metatron says.
You're both very sweet stoners. And if you keep your noses clean, you just may see me again one day.
Panel 3, over Metatron onto Jay and Silent Bob, as Metatron says.
But in the meantime, I should go. Before this classless reunion gets too sentimental.
Panel 4, Metatron urges Jay and Silent Bob to step back as he spreads his wings wide. Metatron says,
You might want to take a step back, boys.
So we don't get hurt?
Page 19, splash page. Metatron takes off into the sky, leaving a tiny Jay and Bob on the ground far below. Flying at us like Superman, wings spread wide, Metatron says.
So your jaw has somewhere to drop.
Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen! Stare into the sky as Metatron flies away. Panel 2, we go wider on the same shot to reveal a family in mourning at an adjacent grave, staring wide-eyed at Jay and Silent Bob. Panel 3, same shot, now Jay and Silent Bob are meeting their gaze. And then panel 4, same shot, but now Jay sings at them.
We're riding a stairway to heaven.
Panel 5, same shot, but Jay and Silent Bob now lift the Buddy Christ statue as Jay says,
Yo, Stairway to Heaven would be an awesome name for a King Diamond song. Give it up